Hey, it's your buddy Daniel Ehrenberg on the ones and the twos, and welcome to the franchise episode number 53. Hank?
And I am your co-host, Hanker Papali, and welcome to Young Guns.
And today we have a guest, the host of the Going the Distance podcast, Ryan Rabalkin. Let's hear it for this guy.
Yeah. Hey guys, I'm really excited to be here. This is really, really cool. I'm very excited. I'm a fan of your show, so I'm a little bit nervous. It's weird. I do a podcast every week, but I'm nervous being on your show because you guys are in my ears every week, and I love your show.
Holy really shit, nice guys. We're blowing up. We've got a fan on the show. No, we
have a fan, Dan.
It's true. It's true. We've listened to your podcast too, so we enjoyed it enough that we brought you on here. We've got other podcast host listeners that I have not invited. So,
well, I'm excited.
You know who you are, piece of shit.
Oh yeah.
Oh no, they're great. They're all great. Okay, so you have a podcast about Rocky. That's how you found us.
Yeah, that's right. So, yeah, I do a weekly podcast about Rocky, and I think so far my brother and I, who hosts it with me, I think we've made it work. When I first did it, I thought, am I going to pigeonhole myself into a podcast that's going to be like, short run? But we're almost 50 episodes in, and we're only on Rocky 3. So for you guys, you, of course, do the franchise movies and stuff, and you hashtag Rocky, and I always look for hashtags on Rocky to talk to the Rocky community. Listen to your show, and I will admit, when I listened to it, I was nervous, because I could tell right away from the way you guys talk, I go, these guys are going to rip it apart. And but you know what? And as I listened to your show, it's like, you know what? You guys were really fair. You were funny and fair, scathing when it was needed. And and then I like your banter so much. I'm like, I'm going to go back to the beginning, and I've listened to every episode since.
Huge. Blowing smoke, but I love it.
Absolutely.
That's very cool. That's very cool. I think the Rocky franchise was something we did pretty well, right, Dan?
I was proud of our coverage of Rocky.
Me too.
And I enjoyed watching them, which I certainly do not always when we're doing this show.
That is a really good point. Yeah.
So I'm actually nervous for two reasons. The one, because the quality of your guys' banter and stuff is really good, and you guys actually genuinely make me laugh, which I consider myself kind of a funny guy, with my friends and peers and on the show that I do. But then I listen to you guys make me laugh. And I'm like, crap, am I going to interfere with your guys' chemistry?
No. Almost definitely. But you've heard episodes with guests, and it works out all right. Sometimes I get mad at them a little bit, like Nathan Sherwood, and sometimes Henry gets mad at them a little bit, like Nathaniel Safran. So,
I'm a big boy. If you need to get mad at me, get mad at me.
I didn't get mad at Nathaniel Safran. I was thrown off the air by the Matrix subway system.
I know. It was incredible.
There was nothing wrong with him.
Yeah, Ryan. Let me ask you. I didn't realize that your podcast goes chronologically.
Wow.
Yeah, I fucked that word up. So, how are you only up to Rocky 3? Like, what do you do? Cover like 10 minutes an episode?
Well, my brother and I... See, here's the thing. I'll plug my show if you don't mind. So,
Please. Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, it's... we started off... It's funny. I actually just listened to our first episode yesterday to hear how my brother and I have changed. Like the first episode of Friends, how terrible it is?
That's a great pilot. I do not agree with this.
Oh, here we go. Okay. Yeah.
I have no opinion.
It's different. It's different.
Okay, maybe that's better. Maybe
still
it's
good.
Well, sure. I've seen Friends like all the way through 3 times. I'm a big fan of the show. But that being said, I listened to my the first episode with my brother. It was like, we're trying to take ourselves a little bit too seriously. We had kind of like AM radio type talk the way we were talking.
Yeah.
And then but anyways, how it started is that we go through chronologically, and it's almost like we do like a commentary, and then we tangent off of topics all the time. So just like brothers will do, we'll talk, and we'll end up talking about anything throughout, and then we go back into talking about Rocky again through the proper order. We've also had interviews with people. We do like a wrap-up show after every movie too. So we've made it work. I don't think we've dragged it out, but somehow we've made it work.
Ryan, will you have me on as a guest once you get up to Paulie's robot in Rocky 4?
Absolutely. I love that you picked a scene, and that will take at least half an hour to talk about the robot.
And Dan, no offense, don't leave me out. I'd like to be on too.
Do you want Paulie's robot, or do you want a separate show?
Oh, I don't need a separate. I'm not as egotistical as you. I could very well share a show with you. Yeah.
Well, if any of your listeners want to give us a try, I would recommend the episode, I think it's 47, where I have actually a guest host on. Nothing against my brother, because this guest host is really good too. But we had a guest host on, and we talked about the charity match, and that's a really funny and fun episode.
Sure, that's the Hulk Hogan section of Rocky 3. I love it.
Thunder lips.
Yeah, that's right.
That took a whole episode, so that gives you an idea, and you can see how easily it is that flesh. In fact, we kind of rushed it too, so almost an hour just on the charity match. But I think we make it work, and it's a good way to introduce our new fans to our show, so to get an idea of where we end up being like as a show, if that makes sense.
All right, check it out, gang. Going the Distance on iTunes. And you are going the distance. You've covered 3 movies in a year. All right. You chose Young Guns. I'd never seen these movies before. Why these movies?
Me neither. I gotta say right.
Henry, you haven't either? I thought for sure.
I know, and as a listener, I figured you would think that I had seen them because we're around the same age. I don't know why. I just never saw them. I remember when I was a kid, they were big, but I don't necessarily think I avoided them, but I just never saw them, and I wasn't quite sure if I had seen them. But when I watched, I had never. Yeah, and they're big.
So do you have something against the Esteves boys?
Well, this is why I'm nervous.
I don't like Martin Sheen's kids.
Okay. Well, this is the second reason why I'm nervous, because no, that's okay. You can do whatever you're going to do, and I wanted to see your take on these movies, and now I'm a little bit more nervous because you haven't seen them before, and I was like, I'm a fanatic of these movies, almost as close as Rocky in some ways.
Wow.
And so,
I love it.
Like I saw Young Guns 2 at least. I saw it like 4 or 5 times in the theater. I had it on VHS tape. I watched it like probably 100 times on VHS tape. I have every line memorized at one point. I could quote the whole movie.
Wow.
This is big.
This guy's like me.
It is.
So I thought for sure Henry'd seen it.
Yeah. Is this your midnight run? Is that what this is?
It's funny. I haven't seen Midnight Run, so there you go.
Oh, God. Me neither, buddy.
Oh, Lord. All right. I should rephrase. Is this your Beverly Hills Cop?
Oh, I hate those movies.
Oh!
Thanks, ladies and gentlemen, for listening.
And I was around. I was young when those movies came out, but I never like LOL'd. It's like, hey, look, it's Eddie Murphy being funny in the back of a cop car.
Oh,
that sounds all right to me.
We'll leave that alone for now.
All right.
But maybe it's been a while. And hey, look, I don't want to tarnish. I want to.
Ryan, have you seen The Golden Child?
I've seen every Eddie Murphy movie. I was an 80s kid.
What a piece of shit that Golden Child is, though. Am I right?
Well, that's why I've never seen it since.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, I'm going to just hang back.
All right, let's get into Young Guns, guys.
Yeah, let's do it.
Young Guns, directed by Christopher Kane and John Fusco. Let's start there. I'm not familiar with any of these people.
And you wouldn't be.
No.
Christopher Kane on my research has done nothing but shit.
But isn't that crazy? That's just crazy to me.
Well, that's not too crazy to me, but go ahead.
Listen. He got his start back in the 80s. He got Young Guns on the strength of a big hit the year before. Mm-hmm. That's right, James Belushi's The Principal. All right? A classic. He's a director I've somehow seen 3 movies by.
Really?
Yeah.
I know which one you're going to talk about.
All right, one that we will cover on this podcast eventually.
What's that, man?
Yeah.
Henry.
What?
Hilary Swank's The Next Karate Kid.
Oh, of course. Right.
All right, starring Noriyuki Pat Morita.
Right.
Pat.
Good call.
He also directed a movie I saw in theaters as a child. I am younger than you guys. Here's why I saw it. It sounded amazing. It sounded like an adventure, and there was a panda in it. That's right, The Amazing Panda Adventure.
I thought for sure you were going to mention Gone Fishing.
Listen, I was getting there. I also saw Gone Fishing, starring hey, what's his name in Lethal Weapon, Hank?
Danny Glover.
What are you talking about? Joe Pesci's character.
Well, they're both in it.
Yeah, whatever. All right, yeah, Joe Pesci and Danny Glover. We should have just covered Gone Fishing when we did Lethal Weapon.
Like it's an alternate universe sequel.
Yeah, right.
Man, it's a piece of shit, though.
Well, I gave you that book, right, with Queenan, the Joe Queenan book.
Yeah.
Where he talks about that going to the afternoon showing of that, and it's one of the funniest things I've ever read in my life. Remember that?
It's great, yeah. I used to get Gone Fishing mixed up with another movie from around the same time. Out to Sea.
I knew you were going to say that. It's amazing we're not Siamese twins.
It's true.
Yeah.
Out to Sea with Walter Matthau and Jack Lemmon, just on a cruise ship hitting on old folks.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's terrible. Okay.
Yeah, it's excellent. All right. Let's talk about John Fusco, because he wrote both of these movies. This guy's the auteur behind the Young Guns franchise.
Yeah, and I like that, actually. I like that. It's the same voice, but yeah, we'll talk later about how that kind of hinders, but...
I like that in franchises, too. I'm a big fan of Don Mancini, who has written all 7 Child's Play movies.
There you go. I did not know that. Wow.
Yeah. We'll talk
that's
about
his vision. That's definitely his vision. Holy smokes.
It's true. John Fusco, still working, guys. Still working consistently. Still writing hits.
Really?
Yeah, doing well for himself, really.
He created Marco Polo for Netflix. All right?
Yeah, that's impressive.
That's boring.
Well, it's impressive that he got a job at Netflix. I haven't seen the series, but...
He's getting tons of jobs at Netflix, man. We'll cover this guy again. He wrote...
Yeah.
That's right. Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, Sword of Destiny, the straight-to-Netflix sequel to Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. All right? He recently wrote a hit movie, the Christian movie. Listen, I go to AA, Alcoholics Anonymous. The Christian segment of AA loves this movie. All right? The Shack.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. It's all about God.
Yeah, I find it interesting, yeah.
Did you see
Young
it?
Guns is no, but Young Guns has really very little to do with God.
Yeah, it's true. A lot of his early stuff did. He also wrote that The Babe, where John Goodman plays Babe Ruth.
Oh, I saw that.
Me
that
too.
I know.
Yeah.
He wrote that?
Yeah, he wrote that. He also wrote Hidalgo, obviously
Viggo.
reuniting with Viggo Mortensen.
Right.
Good catch, yep.
Yeah.
And well, he also wrote Thunderheart, which with Val Kilmer. So he likes these.
I don't know that one.
Yeah,
really?
that's a Native American movie, right?
Yes, sorry, Native American. My apologies.
You could say Indian.
Are you fucking kidding me, Ryan? Have you heard our show? Please.
Yeah, I know I have. But I'm Canadian. We have to apologize for everything.
That's true.
Oh, it's true. Yeah. Listen, that was a problem for me with Young Guns 2, especially. And it's my own thing. I have no interest in Native Americans. All right? It's I've talked about it before. It's my least episode of every crime procedural that I've ever watched.
No, you actually, I got to tell you, Daniel, you have not talked about this.
Really?
You know me, I'm the show corrector.
Yeah.
You have never mentioned this, so please.
This is a thing I have a problem with on TV shows. When
you never mentioned the Indians.
Okay.
No. Yeah, I mean he knows. He's heard every episode.
when I'm talking about crime procedurals, okay?
Yeah.
So I've watched Bones, a lot of, Law and Order, these kinds of shows. Even like the X-Files. And there's always 2 episodes that I tune out immediately, and they always get to them eventually. It's the episode where they have to investigate a crime on a Native American reservation, and an episode where they have to deal with the different kinds of rules in Chinatown. I don't care about either of these places. They always come up.
That's good.
Well,
That's funny.
I don't think it's really a mystery that you're not a fan of Asian Americans or Native American people. You don't like them. And
why would you say that?
And that's cool. That's cool.
Now you're Jewish though, right, Daniel?
Yes, that is true.
Well, you gotta have a blank check on not liking people.
Do I? I don't know if that's true, but
what is that? The Albert Brooks thing with the I got a Jew card. It never runs out. Yeah.
There you go. I didn't even know that. I came up with that myself.
No, that's 40. What is that movie, Dan, with the Judd Apatow movie? 40.
This is 40.
This is 40. He says, "I have a Jew card. I can." Yeah.
Hank, we could cover This Is 40.
That's true, right?
It's a pseudo sequel to Knocked Up.
Right. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. Young Guns was released August 12th, 1988. It's one of those August movies. They thought they might have something, but they weren't sure. Budget of $11 million. Box office of $45 million. It's a hit.
Now, I actually did the inflation calculation on this.
Okay.
Wow.
It's $20 million in our dollars today, and it would have made $100 million at the box office.
That's big.
Jesus Christ. Wow. All right.
All right. It was number 22 for the year. Just ahead of Biloxi Blues and Dirty Rotten Scoundrels. R.I.P. Glenn Headley.
I love Glenn Headley. I'm glad you brought that up. Yeah. She always one of my first crushes from Dick Tracy.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, it seems like every time we do, where you guys do an episode, somebody dies.
It's true. That's been happening a lot lately. What episode were we recording when Bill Paxton died in the middle of it?
In the middle of it.
Yeah, that's right.
Wasn't that like, didn't Aaron text me or something?
Yeah, it was something like that.
Yeah, it was during the episode recorded. It was pretty good.
Oh, my God.
R.I.P. Adam West, who died yesterday. Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
We will be covering the Adam West Batman movie eventually.
Yeah, we will. R.I.P.
Yeah.
He did nothing for me.
What?
The campiness, I get it. Like, again, I was a kid and I watched it, but...
No, but, Ryan, we grew up with that. I mean... I
did grow up with it. I have a sentimental value to it attached to it, but I genuinely didn't get a kick... Even as a young kid, I didn't go, oh, yeah, this is funny. I didn't think Batman should be funny.
I like it more as an adult.
Yeah.
With Family Guy, he was great on that.
No. I mean the Batman. I bought it on. I got it on DVD for Christmas a couple of years ago.
I see. Like the show better.
You're nuts.
Yeah.
I outgrew it. I mean, when I was a kid, I liked it, and then immediately, almost instantaneously, when Michael Keaton took over, I didn't give a shit.
That's where Henry and I are the same age, and we probably had the same journey with Batman. When Michael Keaton's Batman came out, we're like, okay, now we've got a real Batman.
That's right. That's correct.
Henry,
yeah.
Batman was for adults. It's a comedy.
Well, it's not funny.
It is funny.
Well, I wish Robin would find gloves that fit him.
That's part of the fun.
He's always tugging on his gloves. Like, we get it. You got gloves on, buddy.
Yeah.
I like that one.
Dishwashing gloves. Yeah.
All right. Young Guns also just below Colors, which is a movie I've never seen.
I haven't either, and I've always wanted to see that, but yeah.
It's a good movie. Look, you got Sean Penn and Robert Duvall.
Yeah.
That's a good combination. It's worth seeing, guys. Yeah.
I want to see it. Yeah.
And The Land Before Time. Now, Henry.
Oh, my God.
I have to tell you.
Yes, sir.
This is my plan for our podcast. In many years, when we are sick of doing this podcast, and we've run out of movies we care about, the series finale of this podcast will be Land Before Time.
Oh, wow.
Because I believe there are 19 of them. I'm not even exaggerating. We gotta cover them eventually.
Well, the good news is each one just gets worse.
Have you seen all of the Land Before Time movies?
No, I'm just familiar enough to know that I think the first one was decent enough. I think Steven Spielberg even had a hand in it, but after that, it's just, you're basically watching Saturday morning cartoons.
Oh, really? Dinosaurs are in it and Steven Spielberg had a hand in it? What a surprise. Man, if you've got dinosaurs or Nazis in a movie, Steven Spielberg's right around the corner.
Speaking of Jews, no, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like Ron Howard with Space Program.
That's funny.
Throw Tom Hanks in there, and you got a space program.
Yeah, Tom Hanks is World War II and music from the 60s. That's what he loves.
That's it.
Yo,
any movie where you can wear a fedora.
I once went to see a show, Hank and Ryan. It was Crosby, Stills and Nash, Simon and Garfunkel, Stevie Wonder, and Bruce Springsteen. All right.
Oh wow.
I show up. Guess who comes out to introduce the bands? Fucking Tom Hanks. He's anywhere there's just old, forgotten music. Tom Hanks strolls out there and starts yapping about the greatest generation. It's ridiculous.
He's the most liked man in Hollywood.
Yeah. He is though. I love Tom.
He
Hanks.
really is.
I'm not talking
he
shit.
is.
I was
No
excited
scandals.
to see him.
You're doing well this episode, Danny. You're doing well. I'm gasping for air.
Oh, good. Okay, good. All right. Let's get into it. Young Guns. Ryan, do you want to do the plot?
Yeah, you have to. It's your show.
Well, yeah, I don't. It's funny. I figured you guys were gonna ask me to do the plot. I always think that Henry does a good job on the plot, but I'll just.
Ooh, Henry.
Yeah, no problem. But
Well,
I'll just.
Dan has a big ego, so it's nice when you take him down a little bit. So.
Well, this isn't taken away from Daniel.
No, Ryan, please take away.
Okay.
I'm equally a fan of both of you guys for different reasons. I'll leave it at that.
I love it.
Well, the plot is we got John Tunstall, and this is the Lincoln County War, and I don't want to get too much in the history of this. If people want to Google the Lincoln County War, basically,
I'll tell you right now, Ryan, not to interrupt you, but I'm going to. I did.
Okay, well there you go.
So I know a lot about it now.
Please don't talk too much about it.
No, I'm not going to. I'm not going to.
Dan's not a fan of education or history, so.
My brain just shuts off.
Yeah,
well,
true.
Side note, this movie is actually as one of the most accurate movies dealing with this time and dealing with the storyline about the kid and the gang. And I did my own homework throughout the week just out of because I've always watched these movies, but I never Wikipedia'd them before. So I actually went through all the characters, this person was actually a real person. This person was a real person. And if you go to the cast on Wikipedia, 70% of the people in the cast, if not 80% of them, are real people.
Yeah.
All right.
So they deal with a lot of real people, and a lot of the deaths that we see did happen. A lot of the people they killed did happen. John Tunstall, that's Terrence Stamp's character, and
franchise
Jack
crossover.
Yeah, I knew you guys were going to say that. This is funny. Even as I was watching the movies, I was thinking to myself, "Oh my goodness, they're going to mention this. They're going to mention this. They're going to." And Jack Palance was the. What was his name? Lawrence Murphy. These two did have their cattle war, and John Tunstall did hire people to take care of his cattle. And when he was murdered, which is, of course, the turning point of the movie. So basically, John Tunstall takes in these boys to help protect his land, and then at the same time, he educates them. He's from England, so I guess he's smart.
You Canadians know all about that.
That's true. We're smart.
Love Britain.
Well, we just don't vote in people like Trump, but that's...
Ooh.
Fucking A.
Hey, sorry, people who found us through the Hollywood and Toto podcast.
That's okay. Ryan, you do know that I lived in Canada for 9 years.
No, you never mentioned that on the show.
In Toronto.
That's correct.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Oh.
I grew up there. So
okay, so you were younger at that time.
I'm very familiar with Canadian politics and all that kind of stuff, and they are very nice and very educated. Yes.
You know why you can't hurt our feelings? Because every time we get hurt, we just go to the hospital for free.
That's pretty good.
Love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
All right, so you got Terrence Stamp versus Jack Palance at the start of this movie. Right. Terrence Stamp, he's got a squad of sexy young boys at his disposal.
Isn't their fault they're handsome? Come on. Don't hold that against them.
I'm sure they were all this handsome.
Well, it's funny. The Charlie Sheen character was a good-looking guy.
Okay.
And Charlie Sheen is a good-looking man.
Can I just say something about Charlie Sheen? I don't know how you want to do this, but Charlie Sheen in this movie, he was really good in this movie.
I've always thought Charlie Sheen was really good.
I like dramatic. Yeah, I've always liked dramatic Charlie Sheen. I'm not, the whole like 2.5 Men or whatever that show was, and it's unfortunate that the '80s showed this guy could act. Like, of course we know Platoon, but in this movie, I love dialed down serious Charlie Sheen.
Well,
I think
this is a perfect time to mention my first note that I wrote. I'm sure Dan didn't give two fucking shits about this, but but you would, Ryan. Terrence Stamp and Charlie Sheen reunited from Wall Street.
Oh yeah,
I don't remember that Terrence Stamp was in Wall Street.
He's great. Yeah. Remember that, Ryan?
Well, I've seen Wall Street like 4 times, so I'm not as familiar as you are with it. But I love Wall Street.
That's still a lot of times.
Wow,
Jesus.
I love it. I love that he's on our show, and the fact that he's seen something 4 times is still not. He still feels humble about. No, well, 4 times. I'm not quite familiar with it.
Am I the only one that's not going to be an ass kisser on this fucking podcast? Let's go.
No, please, Daniel, be yourself.
Well, hubris is quite uniquely an American thing. So we have a Canadian on. He's not going to be like, yeah, that's true. So
it's not. I won't be that digging on you guys. I just can't.
No, you should. Please.
I'll try.
But anyway, the Wall Street reunion was nice. That was the first thing I thought of. I didn't even.
Another franchise crossover. Look at that.
Well, not yet, but it will be, right? We have a buddy, right, Dan, who wants to do Wall Street.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Eric, if you're out there, let us know. He listens.
Yeah.
All right. So keep going on this plot.
Okay, so they get them together, and we see John Tunstall starts to educate them, teach them. So he doesn't just have them as bodyguards for his cattle and for his land, but he actually genuinely cares about these guys, and they're basically derelicts, runaways, people who've been in trouble with the law, and he's basically teaching them through like love. Really, he loves the boys. You can see that in the show that he loves these kids.
He really does love these boys. It's you gotta question it.
I don't think there's anything sexual in it whatsoever.
I don't know. It's a little weird. This old guy living by himself just taking in teen runaways. I don't think that sounds good.
Well,
you are the worst, Dan. You really are.
Jack Palance's Lawrence Murphy does mention that to John Tunstall.
Oh, that's right. There is a line about that.
I get it.
Better off educating young boys.
That's right. Old one-arm Palance in this movie.
Okay, whatever you guys want to talk about LPV.
All right, Curly's Gold.
Oh. Okay. Horrible.
We got to cover that, Hank.
Oh, not for a while.
Yeah, on the City
one. Slicks. Let's do it. Don't snort at me. All right, go on.
Okay, well then, of course, Murphy doesn't like Tunstall and basically has his hooligans kill John in cold blood, John Tunstall in cold blood, and the bodyguards or these young kids. They are not. They can't. They want to go out and kill the other gang, but they want to do it the law way.
Yeah,
and so they get deputized. Terry O'Quinn's character, which is the banker dude. What was his name? Alexander McSween.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So McSween is saying, look, he's a lawyer.
From Lost.
That's right, franchise crossover. He was in the X-Files movie.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew Daniel was going to bring up a Lost because I know you're a big Lost fan.
Big Lost fan.
However, I'm a little surprised that it took me to say it.
I was waiting.
All right.
And so now they've gotten permission to now legally hunt down the killers of John Tunstall. But of course, in the process, Billy the Kid and the gang, take justice into their own hands and execute the warrants, but then they execute the criminals at the same time. And then they lose their authority in the process, and they become wanted men by the army, by the real law, and then that's how things happen to them.
That's it. Yeah, I mean, I don't understand that. Terry O'Quinn deputizes these young boys who are sad that their mentor who has been really showing them the ropes. He dies, and they deputize these kids. They say, "Oh, go kill those dudes." Like, of course they're gonna kill people. Like,
well, it was the West, absolutely.
but then like Terry O'Quinn's so shocked that oh my God, these 5 boys that we made deputy sheriffs killed people. Of course.
Well, I think the idea was, at the very least, it buys them time. You know, maybe like what else is he going to do if he doesn't deputize it? They're going to do it anyways. So I think in some way it probably bought them time, a little bit of leeway to get close to these guys too. Like, if you really want to analyze it,
I suppose it protected them a little bit.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what, the real wild card in this movie is that Emilio Estevez. He's playing Billy the Kid, and this guy's a sociopath.
Yeah,
right.
Completely. Yeah.
Oh my God, that scene! Can I just talk about the Henry Hill scene for a second? Because
Sure.
it's one of the weirdest scenes in the movie.
You talking about the outhouse?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
He
please.
he sneaks into this outhouse.
Mhm.
Henry Hill's in there. I mean, it's
Not the Henry Hill from Goodfellas.
No. It's a film directed by Christopher Kane, so obviously we have to hear this guy farting up a storm in there.
Well, it was also the 80s, but go on.
I guess. And Billy pops out a gun and just wrecks this guy with his pants down. It's brutal.
I love it.
And laughs and starts to laugh while this guy dies.
Now, Ryan, I gotta ask you.
This is the hero of this movie.
I gotta ask.
He's not the hero. He's
I know. You're right.
But yeah.
Ryan, I gotta ask you a question.
Yes.
Being around my age, and I know, actually, I think I know for a fact that Dan is also a fan of this movie, but Unforgiven.
Oh yes.
Okay.
Love it.
Right.
I love westerns.
Am I right, Danny? You're.
Oh yeah, it's a great movie.
Okay. So there's a shooting in an outhouse in that movie.
Right.
And it's shot with a certain humanity where this kid is very troubled by killing this guy on the can, right?
Right.
So is this more of a psychological introspection to Billy the Kid, or is it just a careless 80s type of let's have fucking fun?
No, I do think they set up Billy the Kid as being this kind of maniac, because we get many scenes of the other regulators. That's the group of boys.
Well, they're scared
but I
by
also
him.
want Ryan's opinion on that.
All right, I mean, do you want my opinion, or is this episode all about Ryan?
I want you to shut the fuck up.
Oh.
Man. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah.
They're constantly talking about Billy, like, yo, this guy's getting out of hand. What the fuck? Because also Billy is new to the regulators. Like, by the way, Billy is more incensed by the death of Terrence Stamp than any of these boys. He knew this guy for like a day and a half.
Well, what is the truth behind that? Because I wondered that as well, Ryan.
I think the time, like I said, I just researched quickly the history of the relationship. In fact, Emilio and Charlie and Doc, they actually had a relationship for a long time before they met Tunstall. They actually opened up like a shop together.
Doc is Kiefer Sutherland,
Yes.
and Charlie is 3D guy from the Back to the Future movies.
Good. Wow.
Yeah.
Another franchise crossover.
That's right.
Sheen.
Franchise crossover.
That's Charlie Sheen. That's how we know him. 3D guy.
No, not Charlie Sheen. This guy Casey, whatever his name is.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. The other, like, basically, it's 6 young boys in these roles, and 5 of them
First
are.
of all, they're like 20 years old, so you don't have to keep saying that.
They're young boys. So 5 of them are like super recognizable actors, and then the 6th one is the 3D glasses kid from Back to the Future.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay, so regarding Billy and his attitude or his behavior, we know that he's a loose cannon. That's what he is. He's a loose cannon in the West, and even in the West standards, he's a little bit, scary. But what he does value, for whatever reason, in the movies, he values loyalty, and he values companionship and friends or pals, as we'll get to. So John Tunstall took him in. So even maybe it was only a day or a week, or who knows what the timeline is in the movie. But he saw enough in Tunstall of more kindness was given to him than he's ever received in his life. And maybe that's all he needed to realize that the West is a wicked place, and if they're going to off the one person that showed him true kindness, he's just going to say F it to the rest of the world.
But see, here's my quibble with that. And,
sure.
You don't get nearly, like, everything you just said makes sense, except in the movie, and I don't know if Dan will agree with me, I think he will, but I might be wrong. You're not really given any background at all. Like, if you go into this knowing nothing about Billy the Kid, and I knew a little bit, but not much, like, with comparison to, like, a movie like The Assassination of Jesse James and by
the Coward Robert Ford.
I knew you were going to say that.
Hey, the whole title.
Full title.
Right. Full titles on this
show.
Full
title, I know.
You're not given a lot here. So, does he value loyalty? I mean, he says that. But
well, he does.
You're not given. Yeah, but you're not really. And I mean, he's such.
I think you get it more in Young Guns too.
Well, and
that's. I agree. But yeah, go ahead. Ryan.
Is it too early to say this? I don't want to jump ahead too quickly here. I'll save it.
It's a 4-hour movie. Go ahead.
No, not necessarily. Well, I think the one of the biggest flaws in this quote unquote franchise, and I say quote unquote because when John Fusco wrote this movie, he had no idea that it was going to be as big as it was, or that the studio would ask him to write another movie.
That is obvious.
Well, that is often the case with franchises.
Well, nowadays not so much anymore. Now they write movies today always hoping for a sequel, and so this movie.
Yeah, but there's still some surprises. Do you think they thought there was going to be a Now You See Me 2?
Well, I don't think anyone should have seen Now You See Me 1, but
not me neither. That's not the argument.
But no, I agree. But I think with this one, it's unfortunate. I think the weakest part of part 2 and part 1 together, when you see these together, is that it didn't know it was going to be another part. I think these fleshed out ideas would have occurred if they knew that this was going to be a franchise.
That's fair. All right. Yeah. Yeah, that's
so
fair.
I think they had an hour and 40 minutes to tell a story, and of course they knew that look, they want to see the justice handed out. This it's a bit of action, a bit of drama, but they can't really flesh out too much, or else you're going to have a 3-hour movie. Or they could have if they knew they were going to have a sequel.
Yeah.
There you go, guys.
I gotta. We went through the credits, but not quite to my liking. So can I mention?
Well,
a couple things?
Can we first just go through the actual credits sequence?
Yeah, well, I wanted,
because it's the highlight of the movie.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Henry. I wanted. Okay,
I watched it 3 times.
Oh, good. I was so excited. I was like, I can't wait to hear your guys' thoughts on the opening sequence, especially Henry regarding the music. I want to hear your thoughts on the music.
Oh man, the music in this piece of shit. I'm sorry, I don't mean it's not a piece of shit. It's a pretty good movie. But
okay.
Henry liked it less than I did apparently.
Uh-oh.
We'll get to ratings, but it does have that 80s hair rock score.
But it's great.
Can I get?
It's crazy.
Can I jump in here, Dan? Do you mind?
Well, real quick, the Young Guns 2, not to jump ahead, the score is by Alan Silvestri, franchise crossover from Back to the Future. And the score is so much better in Young Guns 2.
Right, it is. It's more of I would say it's more of a film score.
Yeah, this is like a video game score.
Right.
Can I?
Henry?
Yeah, do you mind shutting the fuck up for a minute? Okay, so the opening credits. Anthony Marinelli, right? Mm-hmm. A composer who has done nothing except contribute to other scores. I looked this guy up deep, all right? Mm-hmm. Nothing really of note. The only thing that he has done that I took note of that was great was contributing to the score of Leaving Las Vegas, which is an amazing score. But it's very jazzy, and he's got a lot of artists contributing. So the opening credits...
I think he's just a guitar player, this guy.
Yeah. The opening credits of this movie, I wrote a note, and I think I leave it up to you. Either awesome or terrible. And I think I'm going to err on the side of awesome.
I think it's awesome. The opening, look, the score at certain more serious parts of the movie does not work.
It's garbage. It's utter garbage.
Henry, jeez.
Henry, slow down. So, I just want to say, as a Young Guns fanatic, now, I know you guys just saw it for the first time, but I grew up with this, but people who grew up with it like me and watched like me, this soundtrack is like a holy grail.
Okay. Well, that I you know what, Ryan, I completely understand that, and I'm like that with, Fletch and...
We're nostalgia busters on this show.
Yeah, that's fine. No, that's fine. I appreciate that.
But I get it.
But Henry, Fletch is different. Fletch does have the world's cheesiest soundtrack, but it works for the movie that Fletch is. Like, this movie is it's attempting to be a real Western. Like, when you brought this movie up, Young Guns, right. I thought it was like the 80s. Like, this ain't your daddy's Western, but it kind of is your daddy's Western.
It actually doesn't age that badly.
It just has this weird score where the drums sound like that.
Yeah, right.
And the guitar's like, it sounds like the score from Ace Ventura.
So you do really like the score, right?
Well, I do. I really, really do. Like the scene where they're running through the thorn bushes with the guitar playing, that soundtrack playing. This soundtrack is. I don't think you can buy it. It's like if you go on YouTube to find it, people are like, "Oh, I can't believe you have it. Where did you get the original copy?" It's like one of those soundtracks that people want to own.
You can find the Young Guns 2 soundtrack in the dollar bin, though. We'll get there. Okay, but this opening credit sequence they take each actor individually. They get to smile into the camera.
Yeah.
And then it's like pseudo black and white, like almost sepia, but not. Like it's sort of how they shoot like the early daylight on Survivor.
It's almost like if they had film back then. If they could film this back then, this is what it would look like. That's what they were going for.
It's badass. I'm into it.
No, I agree. But I also have to mention another thing I want to mention with the credits was nobody has talked about the director of photography, the cinematographer.
Who's this guy?
Dean Semler. I mean,
some good stuff. Yeah.
Jesus Christ, this guy's resume is gigantic, and among other things, he's an Oscar winner. Dan, I don't know if you knew that.
No, I didn't look him up. What for?
Well, your favorite movie of all time, Dances with Wolves.
Ugh.
And another one of your favorite movies, Apocalypto.
That's a good-looking movie.
And Mad Max 2.
What, the Road Warrior?
Yeah. Right. So this guy knows how to shoot a film.
Yeah. Those are all great-looking movies. I mean, Dances with Wolves.
Right.
Ugh.
Yeah, I know, but you can't. If you're gonna talk, I didn't make a note of this, but I wanted to make a mental note to you, Dan. If you're going to talk shit about Dances with Wolves, the one thing you can't probably shit on is the way it looks, right? I mean, it's a pretty beautiful movie, no?
Yeah, I mean, he probably shot it beautifully, and then Kevin Costner just pissed all over it.
Dean Semler, a good cinematographer.
Yeah, all right.
All right.
So, let's talk about my favorite subplot of the movie.
Oh, I know what you're going to say. Go ahead.
What do you think I'm going to say?
I don't.
Okay. Well, may I ask, are you being facetious or serious?
I'm being dead serious.
Okay, well, go ahead. I'll just believe me if I'm right or wrong. Go ahead.
All right, Kiefer Sutherland, guys.
Yeah, I knew it.
Jack Bauer himself. All right.
Yeah, I knew you were going to talk about the China.
Very, very weirdly playing like a real good guy in this movie, because like young Kiefer Sutherland was often playing like dickheads. He was like a real James Spader back then.
Bright Lights, Big City, one of my favorite movies.
One of my favorite movies, Freeway.
Yeah, with Reese Witherspoon.
That's right. Kiefer, they're at this like town function. And he spots Jack Palance's geisha girl. Mm-hmm. All right? And Kiefer wants to jack this girl right away from old Jack Palance.
Free jacker.
And you think at first he's just kind of into it. He's like, oh my God, like look at this. And that's probably true. Doc definitely has an Asian fetish. Mm-hmm. We can agree on this. But he falls in love with her immediately. It's love at first sight between Kiefer and this geisha. And he spends the entire movie just trying to take her.
Yep.
And at the end, he does. They're together. When Young Guns 2 starts and he's a school teacher, is he like somehow just living in New York with this geisha girl?
Well, in real life, he was all those things, but he had a white woman bride. I don't know why they did that, but he had like kids and everything.
Oh,
I don't know, man. It's
right.
He had his own squad of sexy young boys.
Oh my God.
I don't know.
Speaking of Doc Scurlock, the character, in real life, he was a real badass. He killed, is true, when Billy says in part 2, you killed half the men that I got credit for, it's true. Yeah. Doc he would hang people out in the town square. This guy was brutal. He was a bad dude.
Well, I think that happens a lot in Westerns where they depict somebody as bad, but they're not even depicting quite how murderous they are, and I think that's probably because it would be so unappetizing for viewers to see these guys for what they really were. And
well, can I say though? I know we're going all over the place, which is fine. I expect
it doesn't matter. Yeah.
What I like about, and I wanted to get this in before we get to Young Guns 2. What I like about Young Guns is that it is trying to be, I think, a real Western, and I think in its own way, it's a little bit schizophrenic the way Billy the Kid is, in that he's like maniacal and happy, and shows some caring, and then he's so brutal in his killings. And I like that. One of my favorite scenes, and of course amongst Young Gun fans, their favorite scenes are when he kills Sheriff Brady in the street, when he's like dancing behind him, and then Sheriff Brady turns around, and that music change, and we change with that scene. I remember that. Remember Dirty Steve is looking through the plank, and he goes, "He ain't over there, is he?" And he's spitting.
Yes, I remember now. He's spitting. That tells me nothing. He's spitting every time we see him in this movie.
Sure, fair enough.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to get some highlights out here, because if there's any fans that are listening to the show of Young Guns, they're going to want me to say this, because
please do.
Yeah, you're fine. Yeah.
Okay. So Sheriff Brady is, of course, the sheriff, and this is when Billy the Kid says, "Reap the whirlwind, Sheriff Brady."
Yeah.
And he shoots him dead in the street, right through the head. That not ringing a bell?
No, it totally does.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think that scene works, and I think part of why some of this stuff works is Emilio Estevez is really good in this movie.
He is. He is. This is. Every actor has the role that defines who they are.
That's it. I agree.
This is his role.
I agree.
No, it's Andy from Breakfast Club.
That's you know what, Ryan? That's a really good call.
I will. But the reason why I say but that's a real ensemble cast. This is all Emilio's movies.
Well, I agree with that.
Emilio, yeah.
And
I gotta bring up a couple of things here.
Please, yeah.
One thing that I liked, which you do not see anymore ever, and you never will again, as far as I can tell, and I think Dan will agree with me, was I liked that it's the 80s, and we weren't obsessed with this fetishizing of like bodybuilding yet. So all of the fucking characters, they look like us, like Dermot Mulrooney's like all scrawny and shit, and like everybody, like there's not like nobody's bulked up, and I like that. And what it made me think of was like when I saw last year, I saw the Magnificent Seven remake, which was fucking horrible. And but besides being horrible, everybody in there is like a god.
Yeah, that's silly.
Yeah, and I like that there's like a naturalism that I think it's just a thing that it just hadn't been built up yet.
I agree.
Yeah,
Can I argue that because even in this movie, we're still acting. These guys are acting.
Yeah.
They're not just looking like we kind of teased about them being handsome, looking good, but you know what? They actually, in today's standards, they don't look that great, like you're saying, and they're actually genuinely acting. They're actually trying hard to make this a film, not just a popcorn movie.
Right.
There's a lot of interesting performances in this movie, including that of my MVP.
Oh boy, are you gonna say Lou Diamond Phillips?
No.
Well, he doesn't like Indians, remember?
Oh, right, I forgot.
Mexican Indian.
Mexican Indian, God damn it. Yeah, I forgot.
Guys, the MVP of this movie, and he doesn't get enough screen time, Dermot Mulroney.
He's great.
Steve, yeah.
He's great.
Man, he's unhinged in this thing.
And the other thing is with that, I'm glad you brought that up because he's not my MVP, but still, the fact that he's got like all the nasty teeth, like they wouldn't do that to a star these days. They would never do that. They would never allow it. They'd be like, whoa, you're Dermot Mulroney. You can't have dirty.
He's a fan favorite.
I gotta tell you, the first thing I ever saw Dermot Mulroney in was like late '90s, and
Runaway Bride.
it might have been that, yeah. And just recently, I'm starting to like discover the early Dermot Mulroney. Henry, you might remember a few months ago, I watched Career Opportunities for the first time.
yeah, he's in that.
Yeah, he's like the villain in that movie. He's fucking great. I love Dermot Mulroney, and what I'm learning is he was always awesome.
Well, I love him in About Schmidt.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I knew of that, but I didn't know about all these young Dermot performances.
I don't know that I do either. But before, I don't mean to change the subject, but we cannot go through this movie without speaking of the peyote scene.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, yeah, of course,
that's the most 80s
There's too much to talk about.
That's the most 80s scene in the movie.
Well, Billy the Kid backwards on his horse still makes me laugh. I'm sorry.
It reminded me a lot, speaking of The Breakfast Club, of the scene where they all get stoned.
Oh yeah, smashing the glass or what?
Yeah, and
I don't think it works.
I don't either. Everyone's voice is turned down a few octaves. Like they're like, "So, are we gonna kill this Jack Palance guy?" Blah.
Well, I think that's also due to the poor direction. It's just a squarely boring direction in this movie. I think
that's fair. It's a little bit dragged out, but I think we're talking about Dermot Mulroney or Dirty Steve. His "Hey, you guys!" Size of that chicken. Everyone loves that line, though. Did you see the size of that chicken?
It's great.
I think the second movie is way better directed. I mean, I think
yes, it is.
This guy just doesn't know.
He has the luxury. Well, this director has the luxury of a strong script with a strong acting cast.
Yeah, the problem with Young Guns 2, and you know, we'll talk more about it, is it's just not that interesting a story. Like this is at like I was engaged more by Young Guns, even though I think Young Guns 2 is a better made movie.
Yeah, that's fair. We'll talk about that. Well, my MVP right away, of course, is Emilio.
Me too.
You can't have this movie without him.
I agree. He's my MVP.
And he's my MVP for both, because if they had recast the character, if they'd done anything else, like I don't think you can't have this franchise without Emilio playing. That laugh, that cackle, and his ability to go from dark and funny. I mean, he could have been. You could argue he could have been a good Joker back in the 80s.
Well, are we wrapping up, Dan?
Well, we're about to. I've always liked Emilio Estevez, and I wish he still acted. I don't.
Yes, I know.
It's nice that he has a directing career. I'm sort of proud of him in a way, but like,
right.
You know, it's
weird. I'm just happy he didn't go the Charlie Sheen way with his personal life, because that would have tarnished, I think, this film for me.
Well,
interesting.
I love Charlie Sheen's personal life.
Well, not all of us can have AIDS and drink tiger's blood, and I don't know. Part of me, I don't know.
Charlie
it's
Sheen.
Unfortunate.
Henry remembers. I was into Charlie Sheen during.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
I bought a winning shirt at a mall kiosk.
Yeah.
And I still wear it to this day.
Well, you are winning. That is good.
Charlie Sheen is great, and I watched 2.5 Men. I didn't like the show, but that's how much I like Charlie Sheen.
Well, before we wrap up this first one, there is a couple things I wanted to mention. This is where. Okay, this scene where Charlie, when they're surrounded by the house, the end scene with the firefight in the house and they're burning down the house, that's just a great sequence in my opinion.
I agree. I thought that was great.
And the scene with Charlie, when he just comes unhinged and like that panic attack takes over, but he's also facing his fears at the same time because he is just scared of this bounty hunter Kinney, and he's just like, Kinney, you bastard! And he's just shooting off, and then you got Billy the Kid yelling, "Yeah, Charlie! Yeah, Charlie!" I don't know. That sequence is a really.
Like
Meanwhile, Kiefer's yelling, "Come here, Yen Sun! I don't care about anything but weird geisha girls." At
So
this
can I go to my
particular moment.
Yeah, so I'll go to my LPV then because it kind of ties into this.
LVP, let's do it.
LVP, yeah. So it's Jack Palance.
I totally understand that.
He is horrible in every scene. He acts terrible in every scene. And then to top it off, when Young Sun runs to the house, he's yelling after her, "China, China."
Yeah.
He's calling her China.
I forgot about that.
And it's like if I ran away and you guys were like, "Canada."
Right. Well, you have
Canada.
to understand, we're way more racist in this country than you, so that's not a big leap for us.
No, but it's not. But it's just even when I saw this in the '80s, when there wasn't anything politically correct back then, I was just like, "Really, you're calling her China?" And his whole performance was just. I felt it was, especially when he's going toe to toe with Terrence Stamp.
Did you like when David Bowie showed up and said, "China girl, I want you back," that kind of thing?
Yeah, I really liked that.
All right.
And the other thing I wanted to bring up was Cameo.
What's that?
Yeah, I was hoping you guys
Cameo the band?
I was just gonna
that
say,
performed
the
Word
artist.
Up?
No, Cameo as in Emilio Estevez is friends with Tom Cruise.
Wait, what?
Oh.
Yes.
I
And
missed
Tom
this.
Cruise- And this is, other than Taps, I think this is one of the few films, and I guess The Last Samurai, this is one of the few films where Tom Cruise gets killed.
Really?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that end
Let's
shootout.
see.
Yeah, so he was on set, visiting his buddy Emilio, saying, "Hey, how's it, as actors will do, how's your filming going?"
They're
And
definitely not still friends, right?
I don't know. I wouldn't say. I don't know. I'm not involved in this.
He left Emilio on the couch.
Well,
Oh.
sure. Yeah, I mean, definitely Emilio's at the height of his kind of career here, and I guess Tom is definitely rising on his. They're almost probably the same at this point. But anyways, yeah. So Tom Cruise dressed up in cowboy gear, and he got shot and killed. And
That's awesome.
I'll send you. Well, you can just Google it, and you'll see. Yeah, he got. And there's also a cameo killing in Young Guns 2.
Can you tweet me like a GIF so I can
Absolutely.
okay. Yeah, I caught the Young Guns 2 one, and we'll talk
Okay,
about
good.
it in a minute, but I didn't catch Tom Cruise. That's insane.
Wow.
And then the last thing that we talked earlier about how this movie suffers from not having a sequel in mind when they wrote it was the final sequence when they're talking about the epitaph read only one word, pals.
Pals, yeah.
Okay, so when you watched the first movie, did you guys in your mind, I don't know how deep you went into this, but did you in your mind wonder who wrote that on the epitaph?
No.
Yeah, I did.
Daniel, you're hilarious. even when I saw it for the first time, I did. I don't know. That's just me. I was like, well, who wrote that? So, who do you think wrote it there, Henry? When you watched the first one, who do you think wrote
I'll
it?
say it's Jack Palsons.
Get out of here.
When he in the first one, I guess I thought maybe Lou Diamond Phillips. came
Exactly, because they had that.
back. All right.
Because they had that big scene where Billy's saying, pals is the biggest thing. You're gonna go run away from us when you don't have a tribe.
Right.
And so there's nothing stronger in the world than pals. And then we're led to believe after Billy the Kid's death that somebody snuck into the graveyard and wrote pals on his epitaph. But we know in Young Guns 2 that's impossible. It can't be Chavez E. Chavez.
Oh.
Why is that?
Because, well, spoiler
Was it
alert.
Billy himself?
No. So the second movie we find out, well, everyone dies before Billy does, or if quote unquote dies in the second one, that it would have to be Pat Garrett that wrote it.
Oh.
Sure. Pat Garrett.
And you could almost argue that we're getting really ahead, but if Pat Garrett wrote it, because not only did he not kill Bill the Kid according to Young Guns 2, but he wrote it on the gravesite, say pals, we are pals, and that's why things worked out the way they did.
Pat Garrett's presence in the Young Guns franchise is a little odd. There's a really bad scene in the first Young Guns.
Yeah, it's terrible. It's absolutely terrible.
That real winky wink thing where he meets Pat Garrett, Billy, and Emilio Estevez is like, "Oh, look, Pat Garrett. One day I'll be as big as him. I'll be bigger." Yeah.
Again, that's a scene that suffers from not knowing it's going to be a sequel. Again.
Yeah,
all those scenes. I find the lowest part of Young Guns is the parts that don't carry over to the second one because they didn't know they're going to have a second one. So that's one where they had to recast the actor because he was terrible.
Yeah, well, thank God they recast that actor because then we get Billy Peterson in the second one.
Fucking A.
Yeah.
And he was great. Yeah. He was great.
All right, so why don't we? Yeah.
Let's grade it.
Grade it, MVP, LVP, and I got a superhero count.
Okay.
This is exciting. I feel very excited to be a part of this. Okay, go ahead.
All right, listen, I'm going to predict this. I could predict this. I don't need any of you to say anything. Ryan's giving this a 5.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Henry's giving this a 2.
Ooh, jeez.
No.
My heart just skipped a beat.
No?
I'm giving it a 3, but I made a note. I wrote it's a 2-star movie wrapped in a 3-star clothing. Because it was not painful to watch. It's entertaining. But it's kind of what you said about Dan when you said about U.S. Marshals. I mean, it's a 3-star movie. I mean,
I agree. I'm gonna give it a 3.
All right, fair enough.
All right.
My heart sunk a little bit.
I'm sorry, pal. I'm sorry, buddy. Pal.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
Yeah. My MVP is Emilio Estevez by a mile. My LVP is the director. I think a better director could have made it a little bit more interesting.
I should have prefaced my LPV and MPVs. I only went with actors, and I kind of do that with your movies when I listen to your show.
I mostly do that too.
Yeah, I try to just go with the actor because that's who we're watching on screen. But you're right, there are cases where this director is such a non-issue to me that he's lucky to even have these actors as well.
Well, that's why he's my LVP.
Yeah, fair enough.
Dan, go ahead. MVP.
MVP Dermot Mulroney, LVP Lou Diamond Phillips.
Ooh,
boy,
ouch!
He really does hate Indians.
Wow, he really does. Really does. All right, I got a superhero count. I got 7.
Jesus.
I know. I'm gonna run through it quick.
All right.
Lou Diamond Phillips.
What was he in?
He was in a TV pilot of Aquaman.
Oh, I know about this pilot. I've seen this pilot.
I knew you would have.
It's an unaired pilot. The guy who was supposed to play Aquaman has been in shit since.
He played Tom Curry. So I don't know. I
think that's Aquaman's dad. It's a real current DC Universe situation.
All right.
But hang on, I'm looking up this pilot.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now.
Fuck, can you find it? Find out who played Aquaman. It's from like 2004.
Yeah.
Justin Hartley, 2006.
Yeah, it was supposed to be a spin-off of Smallville, I think.
Yeah.
Justin Hartley, I'm pretty sure, plays him in
so it's going to be on the Warner Brothers. It was going to be related show was Smallville.
Yeah, but Justin Hartley now is one of the leads on the hit NBC show This Is Us.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Dermot Mulroney.
Rooney. Why do you say Rooney?
Because everyone does except you.
But it's wrong.
I don't give a shit. Who cares? He played the Green Lantern on the cartoon The Batman, 2007, 2008.
All right.
And, of course, Terrence Stamp was General Zod in Superman and Superman 2.
Yep.
And I didn't know that he played Stick in Elektra.
Yeah, that's right. I do remember that.
I never saw Elektra. So.
We'll cover it.
Jack Palance, of course, was Carl Grissom in Batman, the Tim Burton movie.
Yeah.
Yep. He was horrible in that, too.
Yeah, he kind of is horrible in that.
He's not a good actor.
What are you talking about? He's an Academy Award winner.
I don't give a shit.
Oh, no. Yeah.
Terry O'Quinn, Dan's buddy from Lost, was in The Rocketeer playing Howard Hughes.
Yeah, that's right.
His wife in this movie, Sharon Thomas, was in 3 different roles in 3 different episodes of Lois and Clark.
Ooh. They loved her.
And the guy whose death we didn't even talk about, which was one of the worst parts of the movie, who we didn't even... Buckshot Roberts.
Hey, I had a question about this. Oh, wait, go ahead. Who is
There's
that?
so much to talk about this movie.
Let me finish.
Yeah.
Played by Brian Keith, who played Uncle Ben in a cartoon version of the Spider-Man.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's the superhero count. And yeah, well, the question is, I think I can answer it for both of you. Does he die? What the fuck was that?
Yeah, because there's a Buckshot in Young Guns 2.
Yeah, no, it's just they just use the same. You're absolutely right. They maybe Emilio gave him that nickname because of the guy that killed Dick. So he just liked the name Buckshot, but it's unrelated.
Yeah,
unrelated.
It's a little confusing.
It is confusing, yeah. But my
I might have missed this, Dan. Did you say your star rating, or are you with me?
Yeah, I gave it 3. I gave it 3.
Okay, yeah, all right.
Can I just mention, talking about Buckshot Roberts there in the first one, Charlie Sheen's death was terrible. The acting of it was terrible.
Yeah.
I only bring that up because there's a death scene in Young Guns 2, we'll talk about, that was actually done really well. So I just found that it's funny when people die on screen.
You talking about Kiefer?
No, well, his was good too. They're all really good, actually. I think whatever mistakes they made with part 1, the way people died, they really corrected in part 2. Because part 1, the way Charlie Sheen acted that death scene was just terrible.
Yeah, I agree.
Though he did the role really well, his living acting performance was good. His dying performance was terrible. Anyways,
Young Guns 2, guys. It's 2 years later. John Fusco's back behind the typewriter. We have a new director, Jeff Murphy. And if you thought Christopher Kane didn't have a career, you haven't met Jeff Murphy.
Yeah, but he's better.
Listen, I do agree it's a better looking movie, but I mean, this guy's doing nothing these days.
But he did Under Siege 2.
He did do Under Siege 2. We like full titles, Dark Territory.
And he did Free Jack.
I've never seen Free Jack.
Me neither.
Right.
I saw it in the theaters.
How about that?
I have seen Siege 2 in the theaters as well.
I have seen Under Siege 2.
And wait, before you continue, Jeff Murphy, not only are you talking shit about him, but he got demoted to, did you see this? Got either of you guys that he now became a second unit director on Lord of the Rings?
Ooh, I see this. And Triple X State of the Union, which we'll cover.
That's depressing. Like, you were at the helm of a couple of big movies, and then you're second unit director on, oh boy.
It's a bummer.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah.
I felt like he was like a friend of mine who got demoted or something. It was
Poor
terrible.
Jeff.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this was released August 1st, 1990. That's right, the day after I turned 4.
Oh,
and a budget of $10 million. Box office, $44 million.
So you ready for the inflation on this?
Yeah.
So actually, it's fun. It's interesting. This was $1 million less than the first movie, number 1.
Yeah, it's true.
For budget. So it's very odd for a film to come in under on its second film when they know it's going to be kind of a bigger draw, or hope that'll be a bigger draw, because you know how budgets kind of get inflated, right, on the second movies?
Yeah, I'm not sure why that is. It's interesting.
It is interesting because this budget includes the cast, paying the cast. So very low budget.
But it is a slightly smaller cast than in the first one.
True. And then the box office was 44, but so basically it would be about 20 million 20 million budget and about 90 million box office. So it still made money.
Yeah, big time. It's a hit. And, you know, if this came out today, I think they'd have figured out a way to do Young Guns 3.
Good point.
I agree. Yeah.
Yeah. But not back then. It was number 30 in the box office for the year. And
I helped with that.
Yeah, you helped a bunch, yeah. It was just ahead of Gremlins 2, The New Batch.
It doesn't make any sense to me. I don't get that. Anyways, I'm always surprised by what movies are around these movies that I like. I'm like, are you kidding me? Who's the idiots that saw Gremlins 2 and not yet?
Gremlins 2 is great!
I don't know.
I don't think I've ever seen it.
Oh, Hank, we gotta do Gremlins.
Well,
I'm sorry.
will.
This is my rant. This is my rant.
All right,
go.
I just don't know who goes up to the box office counter. Like, okay, guys, here we are to see a movie on the big screen. Do you want to watch a couple puppets eating through the fridge of, someone's fridge, or do you want to watch a western with these guys who know how to act and it's going to have everything in this movie, action, acting. Like I don't get watching puppets eat things.
No. Young Guns 2 slightly ahead of Gremlins 2.
Oh, slightly ahead. Well, there you go.
Yeah.
It got its comeuppance.
Yeah, I'll tell you what is right behind Gremlins 2. Directly behind Gremlins 2, Ryan.
Shut up.
A little movie called Rocky 5.
Whoa!
I know it stinks. It stinks.
Oh, I was so excited when I saw that.
It's the worst Rocky movie. I mean,
well, yeah, it was a box office, but it's funny. Though a box office failure in the eyes of the other parts of the franchise, still made money. Money.
Ryan, real quick, rank the Rocky movies.
Okay, you got in order of greatest to least. You've got Rocky 1, Rocky 4, Rocky Balboa.
Ooh.
Rocky 2, Rocky, then Creed, then Rocky 3, then Rocky 5.
Were you mad I ranked Creed the best Rocky movie?
I thought it was kind of a dick move.
Yeah, it was. I agree with you, Ryan. It was a dick move.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't have my notes in front of me, but my rankings.
You had Balboa high.
I did.
Yeah.
I think my rankings more closely resemble Ryan's rankings.
Definitely. Yeah.
Rocky Balboa definitely redeemed both Stallone's writer, director, and actor, and the franchise. It did everything it was supposed to do. That's why it rates so high for me.
Yeah.
Fucking name.
Young Guns 2, back here, just behind in the box office, a re-release of The Jungle Book.
Really?
Yeah.
The cartoon, I guess?
Yeah. And Frank Miller's RoboCop 2.
Oh my God.
Mm-hmm.
I saw that in the theaters, by the way.
Yeah.
Frank Miller wrote RoboCop?
RoboCop 2.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I didn't know who Frank Miller was back then, I'll be honest with you. I wasn't a big comic guy back then.
Sure,
I met Frank Miller. He's a fucking maniac.
He's a nice guy, though. I've met him a few times.
He's a nice guy, but he's a nut.
Oh, he's an insane. Yeah.
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 Anyway, we'll
okay.
tell that story another time. Yeah.
Now, let's talk about Young Guns 2. Can I just talk about the opening and then you can do the plot, right?
Sure, yeah, absolutely.
All right, it opens and I'm in. We've got a young Bradley Whitford going by Brad Whitford.
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
The cast, I gotta say, overall cast, better in Young Guns 2.
Yeah, you get better actors all around, yeah.
Yeah. Then an old man walks up to him. You're like, who's this guy? Then you realize, oh, it's Emilio Estevez in old age makeup.
Really fucking bad. I'm sorry.
Ooh.
I'm sorry. It's really bad.
And the movie is narrated by old Emilio Estevez. And so it's so weird. I was able to get into the movie, but then every so often you just hear Emilio Estevez's voice going like, we were pals back then. Oh, it's crazy.
Well, the opening sequence, I remember seeing this in the theater. So this gives you a little bit of. So I saw this in the theaters, and I was all bought in, ready to go watch this thing. And this is before spoilers or trailers revealed too much. And I'm sitting now. The truck actually drives by first, and we see this truck drive by.
Oh, and you're like, what era is this?
Yeah, I'm like, am I in the right theater?
Yeah.
Then that's what they were going for, right? They were going for that, and it worked. So it's a little fun play on the audience. Like
I actually do like that.
So yeah, it worked. I was like, okay, and I kind of felt taken out of place a little bit, like what's going on here? And so when this guy started talking to this old man, even though I was like, okay, I thought Billy was dead. What's going on? What's happening here? Because I didn't know anything about Bushy Bill Roberts being who he claimed to be and all that stuff. But it's an interesting take on the movie because in this film, we are to believe that Billy did not get killed by Pat Garrett, long story short, and that this character is narrating the life of his time with the gang. So in some ways, I think it worked for me. I kind of liked it, and because it works because it ties up the way it does in the end. A lot of, again, Young Guns fans love the way the movie ends and how it ends. They love that dramatic kind of movement with the music playing, with him walking away with the horse, and it's effective. Again, I say this speaking to any Young Gun fans listening, they will agree with me that the way the movie ends, they all love the ending of this movie.
Ryan, you seem to presuppose that there are Young Guns fans out there.
Oh, are you kidding? Oh, no, dude, you have no idea how big this. Okay, I actually wanted to bring this up. Now's a good time to bring this up.
Okay,
you know Cinema Score, right?
Yeah.
Okay, how it works, right?
Yeah.
Okay, now these movies now you probably know this on Rotten Tomato. You probably saw this. Oh, Rotten Tomato, they give this a 35% approval rating. You know what the Cinema Score is on these two movies?
What's that?
A- for both.
Hey, the people are always right.
Well, what I mean by that is what I'm getting at is that, of course,
They're popular.
Well, people enjoy them. They go to the movie and they walk out and said, "I had a great time."
Yeah,
and
I did have a great time watching these.
And I think that's what. So, but yeah, are there stuff that doesn't work and blah 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 and like I get it, but
honestly, Ryan,
stuff that doesn't work and blah blah blah.
That's kind of what we do here, and
I love it. No, I love it, and I want you guys to talk to that. But I wanted just to bring that up, just as a because you asked the question: are there Young Guns fans? Sure. You go on YouTube, there's like millions of views for clips and scenes, and people comment, "Greatest movie, greatest scene," all this stuff. So they're out there, and I'm one of them.
Why isn't Young Guns available anywhere?
Yeah, man.
It is on DVD, but it's fun. It's one of those weird, hard to find films. You're right. It took me forever to get it on DVD.
I had to watch it on Put Locker, which is illegal.
Yeah.
I was able to find Young Guns too, but Young Guns, I had to literally pay for it on my television, which in 1 year of this show, I have never had to do.
I have literally never seen a movie not available streaming on Amazon.
I love it. I love it. It's just like a soundtrack. It's hard to find. It's like this holy grail.
Okay, let's talk about the soundtrack.
I'm fucking glad this soundtrack isn't available. Jesus Christ.
Henry, this soundtrack. Okay.
Dan already know. I mean, don't even. I don't think I should talk about it. I think it's upsetting.
So Emilio Estevez asked John Bon Jovi if they could use Wanted Dead or Alive in Young Guns 2. John Bon Jovi, because he's the most annoying person in the world, said, "I don't think the lyrics really work for your movie." But he was so inspired by Young Guns 2 that his first solo album, away from Richie Sambora and the gang, is entirely comprised of songs inspired by Young Guns 2.
Love it.
It's crazy. And especially the movie that we hear, the song that we hear over the closing credits.
Yep.
Blaze of Glory.
Turned it off.
I didn't. I listened to the whole thing.
Love it. I absolutely love it.
I despise Bon Jovi. Remember a couple of weeks ago I said about Grease, Dan?
Yes.
And Ryan probably remembers this if he heard the episode.
I heard the episode, yeah.
Yeah, I feel the same way about Bon Jovi. He's in my top 10 most hated things of all time.
No, I have very specific feelings on Bon Jovi.
So do I. He's fucking garbage, but go ahead.
I'm not that into Bon Jovi when they rock out and get inspirational. It's My Life is one of the worst songs ever written. But
it is his life.
Here's what I like. I like soft, tender Bon Jovi. So you want to put on Bed of Roses? Yes, please. I do want John Bon Jovi to lay me down in a bed of roses. You want to put on Always? I'll listen to that song forever and a day.
I'll send you a link. I'll send you a link then, Daniel. I'll send you a link. The best song from this soundtrack isn't in this movie, but it'll fall right up what you're talking about. I think you'll genuinely like it. And it's totally inspired by the life events of Billy the Kid. It's speaking through his mind or through his eyes.
Are you a fan, Ryan, of Bon Jovi?
I've seen them live in 2008. I'm not a fan the way I am like with some other bands. I think I was just able to go see the show, and I had a great time. They obviously put on a professional.
Did they play Blaze of Glory?
He did play Blaze of Glory.
What?
Yeah, I'm not joking. He did.
Oh, dude, you must have been losing it.
Well, it's funny. It's actually I'm a big fan of the Young Guns 2 soundtrack, but it's actually like how some singles you just kind of skip over because you hear them so much. So I don't get that excited by that song. There's other songs on the album that I genuinely really really like because I really really like the movie, and so it is kind of like a musical soundtrack to the movie. So everything you're saying is legit, but I buy into it.
I'd never heard Blaze of Glory, and Hank, I was into it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Wait a minute. You never heard Blaze of Glory?
No.
How is that possible?
Well, you had okay. Well, to be fair, Henry, you never seen these movies at my age. How is that possible?
Well, that's true, but I mean, Blaze of Glory is like it's all over the fucking place. I mean, I heard it. I couldn't avoid it. I just surprised because Dan hears a lot more popular music than I do, and I'm surprised that
I was 4 when this came out.
Yeah,
that doesn't matter. I mean, I'm surprised that's never your excuse, by the way, and that's bullshit.
Yeah, but
it's funny. There's some movies that I just haven't seen just because they came out at a certain time and place in my life. It's just weird, like Midnight Run. Like that's for example. Like there's no reason why I shouldn't have seen this movie, but I just haven't yet.
But sitting down to a movie is different than not having heard a song. That's very different.
I don't know. I've listened to a lot of Bon Jovi, but maybe I haven't investigated the solo oeuvre.
No, well done.
Yeah.
I think this is his only solo album. Was this soundtrack?
Yeah, that's right. It's one solo album. He was only inspired to write by Young Guns too.
I love it. I love how everyone just bought in. I don't know. I get a kick out of it. And another interesting side note: Jeff Beck was the guitar player on the album.
Yeah, I saw
Jeff
him.
Beck happens to be a great guitarist. I don't know why he fucking involved himself with that asshole.
Because he bought in. He knows the power of Young Guns.
Oh, stop.
I saw him live, Hank. Jeff Beck.
There you go.
Yeah.
It was pretty boring.
Not with
That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, we didn't even do the fucking plot.
Yeah, please do the plot quick because we're running long.
I know we're running long, and I'm sorry. I blame myself because I'm a bit of a talker.
I blame you too.
And also, I just love these movies. I feel like I haven't talked anything about these movies. I could just geek out on this so much, but that's okay. We're giving the audience, your audience, what they want. Maybe not mine, but your audience what they want.
I think you know what I think you should do, Ryan. This is gonna be posted under your podcast feed in sort of a director's cut.
Yeah.
And I think you should add tidbits if you got tidbits to add.
Maybe. I like this though. I like what you guys do. It's good. Yeah, my feed's PG, so I'll have to edit some stuff. But
really? Is it?
Yeah.
I didn't know that either.
Well, yeah. My brother and I, we just decided that we'd make the podcast PG the same way the vein that the films are in.
Oh,
that's cool.
Delicate Canadian sensibilities.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
But I love your guys'. I love it. I love your humor. Okay, right. So basically this plot. So basically we start off right away that Pat Garrett and Billy the Kid are friends. Sure. We see that right away that they're traveling buddies. They've already had a kind of relationship with each other. And the plot's pretty simple. He's still stealing cattle. He's never stolen a horse from someone he doesn't like. So he's just making money illegally, and he's semi still on the run. And the powers that be, or I don't know all their different positions, but the powers that be want to catch Billy, want to put him under, and so Pat Garrett decides that he wants to go own his own cafe, and he wants to call it Garrett's Place, and he leaves the gang. But in the interim, of course, Billy's pissed off at him for leaving, and then Pat goes to start his own business, but the government comes in and says, look, we'll give you more money if you just hunt down the person that you traveled with, because you know his haunts, you know his hideouts, you know how he works. It's actually good logic. You take this guy in, and we'll basically give you the money that you need to start your own business and become a legit man. And Pat Garrett buys into that. He sees the green and chases down Billy.
Yep, so Billy assembles a new crew of regulators. He brings back Kiefer. Kiefer Sutherland insisted on dying in this movie.
Yeah, very Harrison Ford of him. I
I don't
didn't
know.
like
It's interesting that he asked to be killed, and so I read that before I watched this movie, and I
Okay.
expected him to die really early on in the movie, but
Yeah.
instead we just don't get a lot of Kiefer in this movie. Like, he's sort of off to the side in a lot of scenes, and then
Well,
he
they
dies
don't-
towards the end.
Yeah, they don't. Well, they don't film movies
Sequentially,
And-
yeah.
Thank you.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, he didn't have a lot of scenes, and they probably just filmed them all very quickly, but put him at the end of the movie. Yeah.
Yeah, it's an odd way to go. Then we get Lou Diamond Phillips is back. He's more Indian than ever in this movie. Just everything
love
that
it.
comes out of this fucking guy's mouth is like, "Will the ancient spirits?" And, leave me alone.
I love it. I knew you were going to say that. Yeah, his hair's a little bit longer. He looks like a Mexican lady on the corner with bottles of
Yeah. And
collecting bottles of the garbage can in the.
Oh.
it's crazy. He looks like the crying Indian. we get some new characters. Mr. Robot himself, Christian Slater. He's in there as Arkansas Dave Rutabaga or something.
Rutabaga. Dave
Yeah.
Rutabaga.
And
They know my name. They know my name. Yeah.
He's great. He's great in this. And you know what? They killed Dermot Mulroney in the first one, and you need that unhinged, maniacal presence in these movies, and Slater gave it to me.
You took the words right out of my mouth. I was going to mention that. Good job. This you could argue it suffered or didn't suffer because of that. They killed the Dirty Steve character. Now, the Dirty Steve character is a fictitious character, and so ironically, they replaced him with a real life person, which was Dave Rutabaga.
Interesting.
Yeah.
We also have Alan Ruck, sort of playing a Western version of Cameron from Ferris Bueller.
Pretty much.
Yeah, he's like a sad sack, and then at the end he has a moment of clarity, and he's like, "No, my name is,
Henry
Yeah.
William French.
Yeah, it's it's great. And honestly, I think Emilio Estevez is even better in Young Guns 2 than he is in Young Guns, and so he's my MVP.
Yes, he
But-
is. He's amazing. Yeah.
But if he was not, it'd be Alan Ruck.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
I loved Alan Ruck in this movie. We also have a very young Balthazar Getty.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's a guy that no one has ever known what to do with him. He's just sort of wandered through Hollywood.
Yeah, I think the first thing I ever saw him in was Lost Highway when I saw it in the theater.
The first thing
Oh,
I
wow.
ever saw him in was Alias.
Oh, really?
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
he shows
Okay.
up on that. But yeah, I honestly I think the only guy that knows what to do with him is David Lynch.
Well, he did a good job in this, though. He did a really good job in this movie.
Well,
as Tom.
I didn't even know it was him until after the
Oh.
movie. So yeah, it is a good performance, but it's just so weird that it's Balthazar Getty.
And since we're talking about him, his death in this movie was done really well. He acted that death very well.
And it works. It's sad. You genuinely care about that character.
And that's how he died. That's the character Tom O'Filliard. He's a real life kid. He was 21 when he's older in real life than he was portrayed in the movie. But he was shot and killed by Pat Garrett.
Which brings me to Pat Garrett, and I think that's the biggest problem with this movie. You have William Peterson, an actor I adore.
Okay. I'm surprised you're going to say what you're about to say, but go on.
Yeah, me too. I think I'm going to disagree with this.
Okay,
but-
I love him, of course, in Manhunter. Every time Billy Peterson comes up, I have to bring up Manhunter. And To Live and Die in L.A.
Yeah, right.
Right.
But I think Pat Garrett is underwritten in this movie.
Maybe it's the fault of the writer. Okay. fair
That's
enough.
what I'm saying. I think the performance is excellent. But
It's funny, the William Peterson's performance as Pat Garrett, when I first saw this as a teenager, I thought at the time, so this will go, I'll save my MPV for later because you might be surprised. But it's interesting how my first time, I would have said that his performance was my LVP.
Yeah,
I didn't.
really.
I did not like Pat Garrett as a character or actor back. But fun enough, now I'm a little bit older and wiser. I like him better now than I did when I was 20 something.
Well, spoiler alert, he's my MVP.
Ooh.
Oh wow. Ooh. Okay.
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
I think he's great.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. I was surprised seeing this for the show. How much more I think, boy, I really like his performance today. I don't know why. It's just weird.
Yeah.
Let me just throw a couple other actors out there because this cast is so flush.
Yeah.
You got James Coburn,
Mm-hmm.
the great James Coburn, hanging around
Yeah.
this movie. You've got an actor I've talked about a lot on this show, insanely underrated. Henry, I'll bring him up
Bradley
again.
Whitford.
No,
Bradley
no,
Whitford.
of course Bradley Whitford. I love Bradley Whitford. Come on, I've brought him up so many times.
So, side note: as a fan of your show, I actually thought about you, Daniel, when Brad Woodford came on, because I know you like The West Wing.
That's right. I love the West
See?
Wing.
Well, that's
I don't know, man. What?
Robert Nepper.
Okay.
He's
Nephew Carlisle.
This is like the fourth movie we've covered that Robert Nepper has shown up in, and
Really?
yeah,
Oh.
and he's here with a big old mustache, which I
Oh,
enjoy.
is he in X-Files?
I don't know. Let me look him up right now, and I'll tell you what
Alright.
he's been in.
So just
talk about something
Henry,
else.
just so you know, he was. Well, I'll tell Henry. The guy that he played in this movie was he was the one that was dressed up to look like an Indian and got shot by the mob.
Yeah. Oh, right.
He was the one that says, "Those people out there, they want to do things their way. I want to do things the law way."
Deputy Carlisle.
That's right.
Right. He's in my superhero count.
He was
Oh.
in Hunger Games Mockingjay Part 2. That's
That's
probably
right.
the last time we
Yep.
covered him.
Yep.
I
Now
guess
know
not
who you mean.
other stuff, but he'll show up again. He's been in a bunch of.
He did a great part. That little sequence he did again, like a lot of side. This is what I love about both these films. Actually, is a lot of these side, like one scene characters, just really bring it all to the table.
It's well cast. They've also, I mean, Leon Rippey is a good actor who's in this movie. Viggo Mortensen, insanely young.
Yeah.
Yes, love it.
Yeah, Scott Wilson from The Walking Dead, among other
Yeah.
things. And I'll tell you the most underrated performance in the movie, because I didn't know this actress and I thought she was great. Jenny Wright as the lead hooker.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she is good. Yeah.
Really good.
Can we say something really quickly about the rating?
Yeah,
So the first movie was rated R.
because it's got
Okay.
hooker boobs.
Well, no, the first movie actually has no nudity.
Yes, it does. I wrote it
No,
down, as I
it
always
doesn't.
do.
Are you talking about Charlie's scene?
Is that 3D?
Yeah.
Yes.
No, I've seen this movie 100 times, and trust me, I saw it as a teenager. There's no nip in that scene.
Then why did I write down hooker nipples?
I think that I think there just might have been just a slight little, like, we're
Listen.
talking.
I saw nipples. I wrote it down.
Okay, and there's more nipple and ass in part 2 by far, and it's rated PG-13.
Interesting.
The
Well, there's
scene
a
at
lot
the
of
end-
hookers in part 2. Like, that's a big
Well-
subplot.
We see when she's walking down out of that sequence, and she's like stripped naked. I mean, that is a long bum shot for a female bum shot walking up to her horse, and you get this, and then you get the side boob, with her on the horse and the side ass,
Big time.
and then when Billy the Kid is in bed with that Spanish lady at the end of the movie, trust me, I was a hormonal teenager back in the day, and that pretty young Spanish lady, right in the shadows there, you see full on boob.
Full on boob.
You can quote me on that.
Yeah.
So
You
nice.
also see Emilio Estevez's butt at one point in
Yeah.
this movie. Yeah.
It's PG-13. Basically, this Young Guns 2, with all of its death, violence, brutality, and nudity, and cursing, is the same rating as Harry Potter.
And it's called Young Guns. It sounds like a kid movie.
Well, if you're that, yeah. But yeah.
I always thought these were like kid movies when I was
love
growing up.
And you didn't see any trailer or anything when you went into these movies.
Yeah. Well, I didn't. I didn't look up anything about them. I didn't even
Good.
know that it was a Western when I started watching the first
You,
one.
you
That's
didn't?
awesome.
No.
What's wrong with you?
No, I think maybe I did, but I just because I IMDb'd it. But when we agreed to do these movies, I didn't know.
That's
Really?
awesome.
Yeah.
I like that. I love that. I really wish, not to sound creepy, but I really wish I could have been there when you guys watched this for the first time. I always like to watch that.
Yeah.
Experience.
All right. What else do we have on Young Guns 2? Henry, anything?
I got a superhero count.
Oh.
We're already finishing this up.
Oh, no, Ryan, what do you want to talk about?
Wow, I know it's been long, and I apologize for you guys have been. Well, I don't know. This movie is just so full of one-liners and scenes and moments. It's like you got the remember when Pat Garrett was with his little dude that was writing his life story.
Yeah,
and that whole sequence there when they talk about when the guy kept taking craps everywhere.
Yeah.
And then the Indians come down and he starts speaking like native language to them, whatever. And then Vito Morgan says, "Oh, I think I got to have a movement."
Yeah. That's a great poop joke.
Yeah, it's when I saw it in the theaters, that got quite the guffaw. I'll tell you.
Bet. I like the scene where Emilio Estevez is telling his buddy Pat to get out of here, and it's like someone like sending their sick dog off into the woods or something. He's saying like, "Go on, get." I really enjoyed that.
This credit goes all to Jeff Murphy. Well, one to Emilio's performance, but you got stuff where he yells out, "That's the best $1.80 I ever spent." That's a great build-up sequence.
Good line.
That made me laugh.
Because that's a great build-up sequence, and the reason why I want to make sure you guys never saw any trailers before watching this, they spoil that in the trailer.
Oh no!
Oh, really?
Yes, but what I love about it is the build-up, because he mentions I've got 18 shots and all these and a dime a piece or whatever, and he's like, you see what a $1.80 you can do to a $40 steer, but this was like 15-20 minutes before the payoff.
Yeah.
And I love that, because it's like, if it happened right after, it'd be too easy, but I love how it happened much later. And just Emilio's performance with everything, even when he goes out to the outhouse and he's hiding behind the guy with the gun who's not too bright. Emilio's acting in these two movies as Billy Kid, it's like he was born to play this role. I just can't say enough good things about how he did.
I think Emilio's great. I liked so much stuff with him in the second one in particular. I liked him in the first one a lot, but the second one is less of an ensemble piece. In the first movie, we get a lot of scenes of the other regulators talking about Billy the Kid, but it's such a makeshift group of regulators in the second one that the movie rests a lot more heavily on Emilio Estevez's shoulders, and I think he handles it really well.
Yeah, and then agree with that. And last, I know you guys want to talk the Chisholm scene. We're talking about Chisholm. That whole sequence with when Billy Kid challenges the guy who's fastest with the draw.
That's Coburn.
Yeah, James Coburn's scene, and it's like I'm going to kill a man for $5. Every man I kill will knock $5 off the $500 you owe me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I just love that sequence where I didn't see it come in the theater, so he puts the guns down. I remember thinking, "Oh, Billy, you're good, but you're not that good. How are you going to reach your guns and shoot that guy?" And he's like, "Dave," and Dave shoots the Mexican.
Yeah.
And then the other guy goes for his gun. Yeah, it works. It really does work. And then Henry William French is having a hard time grabbing his gun, and he can't quite grab it. But Doc kills the other guy.
Yeah.
Good
stuff. And then and I just love that. I just love that whole performance by James. He goes, "You just killed yourself, Billy."
yeah, that was nice.
Just there's a lot of great dramatic moments. I don't know. It's amongst its funny and comedic moments. There's just some really good, even dark moments. We didn't mention in part one that was when he killed that traitor guy. Remember the guy who was an insider from the other gang?
Yeah.
He goes, "Oh, I should have sniffed you out earlier."
Yeah.
He was holding his hand. That is a dark, brutal scene. I don't know about you guys.
No, it is. You're right.
The movies are a lot darker than I was expecting them to be, and at first that bothered me because I thought what I was in for was a real Fletch situation. Where I'm watching this forgotten, fun '80s classic. But
no, it's dark. Yeah.
Then when I realized it took me halfway through the first movie because the credits come up and they're kind of silly in an awesome way, and I was like, yes, this is exactly what I want this movie to be. And then it took me a while to realize oh no, this is a western, this is an actual western movie. Yeah. And I wasn't sure how I felt about it at first, but I ended up enjoying myself watching them.
And then before we end, I want to ask you guys, do you buy the story of Russia Bill Roberts?
No, I fucking don't. And I think it's irresponsible of Young Guns to at the end state that was fact.
Yeah, I agree.
Because at the end of Young Guns 2, you get the thing where, you get Chirons on the screen telling you like what happened to each member of the cast, which I love. I'm always a fan of that in movies. The best use of that, I think, ever is the Friday Night Lights movie.
Okay.
But at the very last one is Brushy Bill. Listen, they said he wasn't Billy the Kid, but he definitely was. And I'm
well,
like,
not really. But
no, I know.
They leave a little bit in because I like how they just state that he went to his grave believing that he was, and I actually thought the old man makeup wasn't as bad as you guys are saying because I don't see Emilio.
All right, Hank, what's the superhero count?
I got 5.
All right.
Yeah, I got Balthazar Getty.
Mm.
Okay.
Who's in Judge Dredd.
Oh, wow.
Oh, God.
Isn't that something?
Yeah.
Your buddy Robert
Mm-hmm.
played the Clock King in Arrow and the Flash.
Yeah, I know. That came up during Mockingjay too.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
Well, then this guy did too because he's been in a couple things we've covered. Tracy Walter was in Batman, the Tim Burton one.
Okay.
And he was, and he was in a cartoon of Justice League and the Teen Titans.
Okay.
Bradley Whitford.
Or Brad Whitford at the time, but
yeah, that's right. He was just Brad.
Right. Was Agent Carter in a one shot playing a character named John Flynn. I don't know if you knew that, Dan.
Oh yeah, that's one of those. Marvel makes these short films that you can only see on the DVDs of their movies.
Yeah,
that's one of those.
And then my final one is Scott Wilson was also in Judge Dredd.
Jesus, we gotta do Judge Dredd.
I know.
Yeah.
Are we talking about the new one with Keith Urban or the Stallone?
No. I
think Keith Urban. No, it's Carl Urban.
Oh, Carl Urban. Keith Urban. Sorry.
Oh, that's funny.
I love Keith Urban. Keith Urban is just aging into Rod Stewart every day.
But you're right.
Yeah.
Who's she married to?
Nicole Kidman.
Nicole Kidman.
Oh, Lord.
I love how he any man that straightens their hair is just a beautiful man.
Yeah. What else you got, Hank? That's it?
I got an MVP, LVP.
Well, what's our 5-star rating first?
I'm going to go with a 3. Because, again, like the first one, I feel like it was totally entertaining. But I didn't feel like there was much more to it than that.
I'm also going to give it a 3. And I'll tell you, ranking these movies, I'm going to rank Young Guns 2 higher than Young Guns.
Yeah, I will too. Yeah.
And part of that is just, they have a similar structure, and almost everything is like as good as the first one, except the interlude in the middle. Young Guns 1 has the peyote shit, and Young Guns 2 has the great brothel stuff. And I vastly prefer that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And your LVP, MVP?
No, Ryan, what's your...
Well, you'll be surprised. It's funny how time changes things. Mm-hmm. Time, your tastes and everything. I think the first one is a great standalone movie, and I think the second one suffers from being a sequel they didn't know they had coming.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
So because of that, it suffers enough that I give it a 4.
Ooh, okay.
Ooh.
So but you rank Young Guns ahead of Young Guns.
Yes. But again, it just bugs me that they didn't see this coming. Because I think they could have fixed a lot of the issues that I have. Because my MVP, of course, is Emilio again. Because it is basically Young Guns 2, the Emilio Estevez story.
Yeah.
But my LVP is actually Christian Slater.
Oh, that's crazy.
Wow.
No, and I'll tell you why. Because... Again, time and age, right? I think when I first watched it, and I loved Christian Slater back in the day, Cuffs.
Love Cuffs.
Yeah.
So, but I think in this one, I was actually really distracted by... I really looked at it as this is the Dirty Steve replacement. He didn't... The chemistry that he had with the rest of the gang, even though he wasn't supposed to have the chemistry, I almost wonder how much of it was played on and off screen. I don't know. I didn't buy into his character at all. His performance was not... It didn't age well for me. They didn't age well. Yeah, I kind of saw through it. I just felt like I was watching Christian Slater with the long hair.
I'll tell you what else didn't age well. Billy the Kid. And that's why my MVP is Emilio Estevez and my LVP is Emilio Estevez.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
I don't know what he ate in 2 years, but I
That's brilliant.
Thank
I love
you.
it.
I was waiting. I was hoping that we could go this episode without mentioning. Okay, well we do.
My MVP is William Peterson
Okay.
Yeah.
because I think he's great, and my LVP is fucking Bon Jovi.
Who is
Wow.
the cameo in this movie? We didn't mention that.
Yeah.
He's the cameo kill.
Yeah.
Screw him. Yeah, he's my LVP.
Bon Jovi. Did you know that, Hank? You know the hospital that where you came to visit me and I fell in love with my nurse?
Yes.
Did you know that is the hospital that Bon Jovi was born in?
Oh wow.
No, I did not.
That's a fact.
That's wonderful.
Mhm.
That's
Well,
awesome.
I'm a good friend.
Yeah, you are. Okay, let's wrap this baby up.